Hi, this is Coralla at CorallaFickman.com and Welcome Network, WYLCOME, WelcomeNetwork.com. I think I need to go back a little bit, although in the video number 7, I think it's number 7, the one prior to this, I did talk a little bit about Old Norse, but I think I need to go back so you can understand where Old Norse comes in as far as English language is concerned. Now, don't forget that English is a Germanic language, right? And prior to being invaded during the fall of the Roman Empire by the Angles, the Saxons, the Jutes, and the Frisians, okay, besides being invaded, prior to that, Britain, as it was called, never really was Romanized like France, like Italy, like Spain. Okay, it always remained basically a Celtic country. You're talking about England, Scotland, Wales, and Ireland. Okay, prior to the Romans, well, during the time that the Romans were gone, and just before the different Germanic groups began to invade, there was even a Celtic revival. So when the Angles, the Frisians, the Saxons, and the different groups, Germanic groups came, they did not come in contact with a culture like in France, like in Spain, like in Italy, that was greatly influenced by the Roman Empire. They basically came in contact with a Celtic people, and they did not feel the same type of reverence, respect, and definitely not the same type of kinship that they felt with the different groups, with different Germanic groups, or with groups that they met who had been greatly assimilated within the Roman Empire. So destruction was the name of the game. Now, the people who invaded what eventually became England during that time, they spoke different Germanic languages. They were all related in one way or the other. But they come from, because you have the Germanic branch, correct? And you have the East Germanic, which is Gothic. Then you have the West Germanic, and that's divided into two. On one side, by the way, when I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the branch itself. I'm looking at the language tree that you can always download at WelcomeNetwork.com. Okay, so you had the East Germanic. You also had the West Germanic, and the West Germanic is divided into two branches. On one side is High German. That's the German that's spoken in Germany today. On the other side is considered Low German, and that's the languages that are on those branches would be Old Frisian, what eventually became to be known as Old English, and Low Franconian, which eventually became Old Frisian became Frisian, Old English became, Middle English, then Modern English over a long period of time, and Low Franconian became Dutch. Okay, so that's the first group of, that's the first English. It came mostly from the West Germanic. During the invasions in the late part of the 8th century and the beginning of the 9th century, I would say up until the 11th century, the people there, now these are the Vikings, the different Germanic groups in the northern part of Europe, they spoke Old Norse or dialects, different dialects, right? So when they came in contact with the people in what eventually became to be known as England, they did not meet a Celtic people, they met fellow Germanic people, and they were more or less able to communicate with each other. Okay, now North German, they came from the northern branch of the Germanic tree. And that branch is divided into two. You have East Norse, Old Norse, East Norse, which is Danish and Swedish, and then you have West Norse, which is Icelandic and Norwegian. Okay, so there was no mass destruction like what happened with the Celtics and the Germanic peoples. Destruction or expulsion. What you had there was a coming together. Now, of course, there were killings, of course. People, when you're at war, you kill each other, but not to the same extent. But I don't want to make it sound like, everybody was, loving each other. Now, what I want to do is, because we talked about Old Norse a little bit on the other tape, but what I'm going to do, because I'm getting the information, okay, and what I want to look at, because Old Norse played a very important part. As I said, they contributed words to English that normally no language contributes to another language. They contribute to that area that's considered the closed word group. When you're talking about prepositions, when you're talking about pronouns, adverbs, but basically words that you normally don't contribute to another language. So they contributed. Old Norse replaced from Old Anglo-Saxon or Old English they, their, them, and one of the most important verbs in the English language, you, we, they gave us are. And when I say us, I'm not I'm not from Northern Europe. My ancestors are not from Northern Europe. But the language which I speak is. That's where you find different information about the language I speak. And I'm talking about the core of English. The core. My ancestry comes from not the north, but from the south, from Africa. Okay, and the African influence in English is not for many centuries from now, and it's a very strong influence, but right now, no influence. Okay. They also gave to English Old Norse the other closed class words such as both. We both can do it. Same. We are the same, okay? Through, T-H-R-O-U-G-H, till, okay? And I have here R again, but I would have gave you R, so no. Also what Old Norse did was, what was very interesting, they replaced some words from Anglo-Saxon. In general, the words existed side by side, but eventually Old Norse did replace some Anglo-Saxon words, some very core words in English. And let me give you those words. Egg, sister, loan, weak, take, anger, bark, wing, sky, that S-K, sky, and window. They also brought words into English that didn't exist before, such as call, die, flat, tight, kid, crooked. Okay, I'm running out of time a little bit, so I'm going to go a little bit fast for you. Old Norse also didn't replace, but now existed side by side, so now you have synonyms. Two words that mean basically the same thing. English, for example, would be shatter, Old Norse scatter. English sick, Norse ill. English carve, Old Norse cut. English wish, Old Norse want. English hide, like hide, piel, not hide like esconder, like to hide. English skin. English no, Old Norse nay. Okay, I'm running out of time, so I'll continue on the next video. And also, I will also continue with the irregular verbs, so don't worry about that. The irregular verbs that came into English before 1100. So this is Corella Ficklin at CorellaFicklin.com.